You ever just say to yourself, gee, I haven't liked a single game this company has ever put out since they bought my favorite IP. I'm like 0 for 5 on them, but this new game could be fun. Like I do every time I see a new Halo game. No, I don't have Stockholm Syndrome. I can leave whenever I want. I just don't want to. Halo Infinite is the 13th in a series of 6 games spanning 2 trilogies, where original Halo creator Bungie made the first 5 out of 3 games, and then sold the franchise to Microsoft, who went on to form an entire studio called 343 Industries that shepherded the entirety of the Halo world, whether it's the games, the books, erotic fan fiction, games, and they also made this. 343 hit the ground running and immediately produced Halo 4, a game so generic and fan-pleasing that it even forgot that it was supposed to please Halo fans and instead just tried to please the COD fan base for some reason. But then they went, oh yeah, we're like a Halo game, but we're new to the franchise. Quick, we need to like not piss anybody off. We need to not take sides on anything. DMR, BR, both go. They just included both guns because they couldn't fucking decide, but then they didn't like balance the game around either one of them, so they just kind of kept them the way that they were in their incumbent games, which means that they don't really work in Halo 4 because the battle rifle is just clearly superior in every instance. I don't know if that was a good idea. Okay, this is starting to get pretty spicy. Let's just refocus, and I'm gonna start from scratch. Halo Infinite is a direct sequel to Halo 5, and it picks up where the game left off development-wise, right about 2015, using Halo 5 as a base. Unfortunately, it had a very troubled history, all the way up until the recently published Season 2 update. The story of why Infinite's such a struggle for 343 is a very fascinating and long-form story to go over, starting when development would have begun. There's been a few leaks over the years that lead me to believe that Halo Infinite's development was restarted at least twice, which that topic in and of itself could be a video, standalone, but a TLDR of the timeline starts with this leaked screenshot. This was originally leaked onto Reddit in late 2019. The Redditor at the time said that this leak was about 7 to 9 months old, placing it around February of 2019. Hang on. Why is that date familiar? Now, I want to be clear. I'm not saying that 343 just scrapped their in-progress version of Infinite at that point and started fresh and then immediately went, oh, fuck, we have to, pay people. So then they panic and announced porting MCC to the PC as soon as they found a third-party studio that was cheap enough to take on the project. But 343's Glassdoor from late 2018 to early 2019 definitely does exactly say that. Hey, completely unrelated thought. Did you know that Microsoft has a limit of 18 months that contractors are allowed to be employed on a project at one time? It's a funny coincidence, huh? Halo Infinite is fucking fun, just in case I have never made that abundantly clear in all my social media. It's a modernized version of Halo that doesn't lose any of the energy or unique design elements that have Halo stand out, compared to a contemporary shooter like COD. It tweaks mechanics like the equipment system in a way that is very well thought out, adds a bunch of new interesting tools to the Halo sandbox, and it's really polished. It runs well, it had a pretty fun, if obviously short and obviously cut back campaign mode, and multiplayer itself is a blast. With that out of the way, though, it also misses a lot of what the core Halo experience is, and unfortunately, when Infinite drops the ball, whoo, boy does it drop the ball. Things like customization. We all knew it was coming since Halo Infinite was announced as a free-to-play model, obviously, but dear God, they've completely stripped out every single aspect of it just to monetize it. And they didn't even do a good job of that. It's clear this was also something that suffered from the development hell that plagued the rest of the title. and you can very clearly just tell that the higher-ups in 343 or Microsoft, whoever it was, just made the decision to nerf this entire system solely, specifically to recoup their expensive development cycle. And that kind of hurts on multiple layers. Forge is completely missing from the game and won't be returning until a beta release in a few months from when I record this video. Same thing with co-op play. The theater mode exists, but all of the files are stored on 343's game server to prevent modding abuse. It has a ton of stability issues doing it that way, though, which is very frustrating. I've had the game crash me multiple times trying to record a really fucking awesome, badass clip from multiplayer where you just feel really cool, and then you go into theater mode and you have to fuck with it for like 10 minutes and it crashes like 6 times and you just give up and just... At launch, most game modes were just Slayer variants. There wasn't really a whole lot of variety in what you could do. The style changes, however, personally, I find way more impactful. The theming of the UI, crosshair size, the location of the maps, the design of Zeta Halo itself, new Spartan armor, it's all visually refreshing in some weird ways. And some of the changes are incredibly welcome to the franchise. I especially really love the colored outlines on enemy Spartans. I know it's controversial, but I'm apparently a masochist. I don't know, I like it. And there's also an introduction of a ping system, kind of like what you'd get in a Battle Royale game. And these are two aspects that really help Halo keep that Halo game focus, that Halo Arena sandbox kind of focus. And it helps keep that focus with a bunch of other meta changes too. But most importantly, the game is just kind of fun to play when it works. You feel like a fucking badass when it all comes together and it's on point. And that kind of brings me to the point of this video. The misses just make what we have to do that much more disappointing. Because it's so very close to being exactly on target where it needs to be. And yet it's just not. Most people would have expected a free-to-play Halo title to have some core, basic features. I imagine most people would have expected a system similar to what we got in the Master Chief Collection, since, after all, that game had a battle pass surgically grafted onto it, specifically to give 343 the test data they needed to make sure that Infinite didn't, crash and burn on launch. In practice, this would mean some really basic customization options like skins, vehicle, weapon, all that fun stuff. Some optional, cool, and entirely new armor designs, blah, blah, blah. MCC introduced this about as well as they could have. They gave you all of the original customization the game shipped with for free, and then all of the additional skin stuff was not only an extra layer on top, but it was completely optional, with options to completely turn off all of the customizations if you so chose. In theory, at least, there's still some stuff like the undersuits that, they fucked up on, but that's another topic. But boy howdy, why in the hell would you think that they would do that with Infinite? Because that just makes fucking sense! Halo Infinite's monetization is egregious, extreme, and honestly pretty insulting. The subreddit was ablaze with posts comparing the paid-for blue versus the free blue. Well, you don't notice the $5 difference here? It didn't help that multiplayer itself was just really broken and struggled to work correctly on a core level. For example, players would just spawn facing the wrong direction, often. Enough that 343 made a cute little intro in Season 2 referencing it. Because, it's funny. Insert crying laughing emoji gun. Halo Infinite is mechanically solid, as I've discussed. It's got potential, but the map layouts, the technical issues, it really did hurt its impact when it launched, and it's kind of amazing comparing the flights that I played to the final product, because holy shit, what fucking game were we going to get before it was delayed? But at the same time, holy shit, there's so many design tweaks that are absolutely game-changing that happened, but also holy shit, the content is basically the same. And how did it ship with so few maps? And holy shit, this is just I don't understand. I love Halo, and I'm extremely opinionated about it. Check the card in the corner for the video I made around the time of Halo Online becoming a thing. specifically me talking about how much Halo was needed on PC, just in case you need some confirmation about how much I fucking love Halo. But being opinionated can lead to some expectations, right? Like, I don't know, the game fucking working. Yes, of course it can, but in full disclosure, if you know me, you know I'm pretty chill when it comes to my game expectations. Cyberpunk 2077 is one of my favorite games after all. Halo Infinite hit those expectations in some ways and failed in others. It's somehow exactly what I wanted on the technical polish and feel front, but absolutely abysmal and reminds me of Halo 4 and 5 when it comes to level design and the god-awful campaign. Season 2 so far is removing a lot of the jank from the launch, but it's a far cry from, like, good? It's a lot more fun, I'll give it that. But when I personally still kind of prefer playing Halo 1 multiplayer over Halo Infinite, there's some kind of, like, fundamental disconnect problem there. The campaign itself is interesting, and it's a ton of fun. Now, I know I just talked shit about it, but the campaign is interesting, and it's a ton of fun when you aren't doing the story missions, which feels very opposite of what it should be. The open world and the do-what-you-want design is absolutely fantastic. Being able to pick whatever weapons you want and whatever vehicles you want and go and do side missions, rescuing some Marines and blowing up some bases. It's fun, and the design is fantastic, and it feels amazing, and it lets you just grow your arsenal and tackle whatever mission you want to in whatever order you please. It doesn't matter what you have unlocked and what you don't have unlocked. It's unique every time, and it's fun, and it's the way you want to do it. And then you play a story mission, and it's just amazingly, incredibly disappointing because they funnel you down this incredibly linear path, and it 100% of the time plays out exactly the same as every other playthrough you will ever have on that level. Past Halo games were linear, don't get me wrong, but at least they felt like they were varied. They had different weapons, they have different enemies, they had different, like, the way the AI worked was different. But in this game, it's basically the same encounter, whether it's the first time you're playing this or it's the 50th time you're playing it. I've personally beaten it on every difficulty, and I have to say that while it is fun, it definitely starts crossing into checkbox territory where I'm not really doing fun, interesting Halo things. I'm doing the Far Cry thing where I'm like, oh, I've got this box, check. Oh, I beat this boss, check. Oh, I beat that arena, check. And that really kind of sucks. It's fun, but I wouldn't really call it Halo fun. Infinite is finally starting to get to a good state, but 343 has continued to show that Infinite's development is still just as painful as it was pre-launch, and it's very unclear what the future of Infinite is. Content delivery is slow, and when it does drop, it's very small. It's already done its damage to its longevity, and I am scared that at this point it will never recover, which is a real shame because the core game here is really quite good. It's the meta around it that sucks. And given time, 343 can improve that just like they have already, but what I'm concerned about is the future. Infinite was originally pitched as a platform for Halo into the future. I mean, it's literally in its fucking name. Infinite is so many Halos. It's at least 3 Halos. Like, that's a lot of Halos. But from what we've seen so far, the Halos have not come back with a bang. And this is so far indication that 343 has just dropped the ball once again, even though this is the closest they've gotten to actually understanding how to use 2 hands to hold said ball. How much longer until we get a management shakeup and a complete policy turnover at 343? The immense flow of contractors not helping the game at all, and has been stated by others in the industry as well as anonymous sources at 343 that all it does is decrease the overall quality of the code base. And it's clear that current policies at the company are flat out just not working. I made a joke about it earlier in the script, but I originally wrote the line about the Halo TV show before the first episode aired. I'm a bad YouTuber, I know. It was supposed to be a joke about the Chevy truck in the background of the fight scene. It's the famous GIF, blah, 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 haha, funny. Given that they're on Earth and flashback to Halo 2 or something. Who fucking knows? But now I get to replace it with memes about Chief being a beta soy boy who just never wears his armor and cries and gets laid a lot, and Cortana just is a 343 clearly has no idea what the fuck to do with this franchise. Microsoft as a company still has a chance to salvage this, but it would involve a really thorough house cleaning and a complete shift of focus and policy at 343. And quite honestly, I don't know if Phil Spencer is able to pull that off. Oh wait, he fucking bought Activision and Bethesda. 2028, year of Halo, baby!